and welcome to another episode of DioTalk. I'm Dio. Let's talk. I have two very special guests today. Give a warm welcome to Nick Harris and to Tatiana Muguerza. There you go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, guys. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
I'm live, happy, a little hungry, but I'm all right.
I'm into that. So we're gathered here today to talk about a very controversial topic. I've reached out to a lot of people to come on the show and talk about it, but a lot feel very iffy. So I'm very honored to be here and talking about this topic with you guys. So thank you for coming on and having courage to talk about these issues. And I apologize if you hear my son running in the background. He's having a super wing moment, just running around.
Okay.
All right, so
real quick, you asked other people to come on and they didn't want to? Is that
well,
what
I
you said?
usually, like, when it's topics like this, I usually I try to get like 4 or 5, and I got a lot of response of like they're very iffy. They didn't feel comfortable talking about it and sharing their opinion, which is I respect it.
I get it too. When you asked me, I was like, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I'm in. I'm with it. I've been holding on to this.
Well, me and Nick, we've been going back and forth for weeks now about Kyle. What's his name? Kyle.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Him, yeah. And then the what's the other girl's name?
Chrystal Kizer.
Yeah, and we were like back and forth, like just putting hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
How the decision making for a white person and versus a black person goes.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah,
that's the only way. Hypocrisy.
So this fucking dude, he was 17 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came.
18 now.
He 18. He was 17 year old at the moment. He crossed state lines to another state, from my understanding, and shot and killed 2 people. And then I think it was a year, right? A year later, he came out innocent.
Yeah.
Acquitted on all charges.
And then you have this girl, Chrystal. God, I'm fucking up her name. Poor girl. My bad.
Kizer.
Chrystal Kizer, which is an African American girl. She was, I think, 17 at the time. She got abducted by this stranger who was in these sex trafficking organization, and she basically killed him to try to escape. And she's been since 2008 in it in a legal battle, and she just recently won a appeal and it was in Wisconsin. So yeah, what were you gonna say, Nick?
No, I was about to say the irony is it's Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin. Both of them.
Both of them in Wisconsin? Shit.
Yeah.
So my thing is, like, this kid just had a gun. He had a what was the rifle? Assault rifle, right?
It actually wasn't an assault rifle. It was a shotgun. It wasn't an assault rifle. A rifle. That's the thing. Like, okay, so this case is like very like, I feel like a lot of people take like a lot of bits and pieces of what they've heard or read or whatever, and they kind of put it together. And of course, it's very maddening. It's very maddening that he got away with it. But there are facts in the case that a lot of people don't really know about because they're so mad about what happened. So it wasn't an assault rifle. It was a shotgun. And a lot of people are under the assumption that he crossed state lines with this gun, but he did not. His friend actually bought him the gun back in May, and he had the gun his friend who was 19 years old bought the gun for him, and he had the gun in his house. And when all this was going on with Jacob Blake, when Jacob Blake got shot and all the riots were happening in Wisconsin, Rittenhouse decided, I'm going to go over there. He got the gun from his friend's house that was his. And he went out and was, trying to be a vigilante or whatever. So that was like a misconception. People thought that he crossed state lines with the gun. And that was one of the charges. They were like, how did they let him do that? But he actually did not do that. And that's one of the loopholes that let him get away with what he did.
So he's originally from Wisconsin.
He is not from Wisconsin. Hold on.
But still, he's a minor with a gun.
So that's another thing. The laws in Wisconsin, you're not allowed to legally buy a gun in Wisconsin when you're underage. The older kid that was 19, his last name was Black. I don't remember his first name. The older kid bought it for him. So he's actually under fire for buying the gun for him. So he has charges brought against him for buying the gun, but there's no charges for, there's like certain guns that people under 18 aren't allowed to have. And the gun that he had, he was actually allowed by law to have. So that's what I'm saying. There's all these loopholes where it's like, it's so fucked up because it's like, he was charged, like everything that he was charged with, he was right for being charged, like not guilty, because of all these little stupid laws where it's like, okay, I could get around this one, I could get around that one. It was a bunch of loopholes that got him, like, that he got away with murder. So if you read more into it, it's kind of like what the fuck? Like, of course he was not guilty because these stupid laws are not, they're not solid.
Wow. So in Wisconsin, you don't have to be an adult to carry a firearm.
Yeah. And it depends on which type of gun it is, and the type of gun that he had wasn't under that law. I actually had it up before I was reading it, exactly what kind of gun it was, but that's the fucked up part of it.
So under my understanding, I was watching The View. Was it The View the other day? And they said one of the people he killed was like a rapist or something like that.
Yeah, he was a supposed sexual offender, which to me is irrelevant because you didn't know that before you shot the guy. So why is that even in,
any relevance?
Exactly,
Yeah.
not relevant at all. Everybody's like, oh, well, he killed a child molester. Like, okay, well, thanks, but you didn't know he was a child molester. And if you did know he was a child molester, then that is, you're actually planning to murder a child molester. So then you're guilty. Like, which one is it?
I mean, what were they doing? Were they like creating a riot or because to shoot and kill somebody? I mean, things might have got underhand, right?
So apparently he came from, I'm sorry, real quick. It says that Wisconsin law prohibits minors from possessing firearms except for hunting or when supervised by an adult in target practice or instruction in the proper use of dangerous weapon. His attorneys argued that another subsection of the law requiring short-barreled rifles, it was a rifle, not a shotgun, sorry, but it wasn't an AR. It provided grounds for dismissing. So the type of rifle that he had was legal.
Mm-hmm. So it was an AR styled. I know it was an AR styled rifle, but it wasn't an AR.
Yeah, it wasn't an AR-15. But so apparently he went into Wisconsin to help people protect their property from protesters. So he went to one location and was helping a member of his family, or I don't know exactly who it was, protect their whatever. And then he was on his way to another location, and he got into an altercation with a group of guys. And they started, I guess, going back and forth with words. Who knows what happened? Nobody was there. Only they know exactly what happened. And the kids on video, it's on video. The kids went after him and tried to beat him up, and he started bucking shots. He killed the one kid, and then the other kids started running. One of the other guys, as he was trying to shoot the one that he killed, got in the way, so he injured him. And then the third kid ran after him with a skateboard and tried getting the gun away from him, and he like swung the skateboard at him, and then he shot him and killed him. So that's another.
So it was like self-defense.
Exactly. So it was self-defense, but what the fuck are you doing there? Like, what you should, if you were never there, like if you look for smoke, you're gonna find smoke. Like,
that is true.
You went there with the intention, like I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Like, he went there knowing, like, why would what is it your fucking business? What is it your business? What are you doing there? Like, well, okay, I'm gonna go help people. All right, whatever, fine, go help people. But like,
you needed a assault rifle to help people.
and then like, and of course and if you look at it factually, right, from a state of not being angered and not being pissed off about this, with a clear head, he was right to defend himself because these kids were attacking him, right? So my thing is like, how do you charge somebody's intention? Like, how do you charge that? Like the prosecution, like how would the prosecution like sit here and prove
in a court of law, right? Your motives or your emotions, right? Like we were speaking, I was speaking to Nick earlier today about this. Like they judge, your judgment comes out of facts, right? It's with your emotions that you have is the ones to carry out the act.
Yep.
So when you're in the courtroom, they don't care about how you were feeling or what they made you feel. They only care about facts. So these are the facts. And to them, your emotions is what convicts you at the end. Right? So this kid, like you said, he was, I want to say nonchalant, right? And he felt attacked. So out of self-defense, he killed these people. Facts. They were attacking him, right? Facts. They tried to hurt him. Facts. He had to, as one person would do, is act out of self-defense. So those are facts.
Yeah.
Now he could have he could have been the one who caused it, and nobody knows, calling them blah 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 blah. But those are emotions. Those are somebody triggering your emotions. So facts, I guess, and the laws like the Bible, right? Like if somebody reads it a certain way, right, it can make you feel like you're innocent or guilty.
Exactly.
Yep. So
it's all up to
cause I agree with you said, Tatiana. It sucks that he definitely like did get away from his own stupidity. I'm sorry. Like, and like, for example, I watched Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with everything Ben Shapiro says, but he's a factual guy. You know what I mean? You take and like you said, Theo, take out the emotions and everything like that. Yeah. Self-defense, yes, that's reasonable. Yeah. Like, do we know it really started? No, but I honestly believe Young Bull really was running his mouth because he had that gun in his hand. I honestly believe that because I know a lot of cats out there, they get tough when they got something that could take the life out of somebody. A lot of dudes out here are like that.
And he was a white, maybe privileged person, right?
Yeah.
No, we ain't gonna throw that in there yet. We're not gonna
not yet. Not yet.
No, I'll take it back.
We're not gonna put that in there because, like, I don't want people to think like, oh, we're just gonna say because he's white, this, that. No, we're gonna keep it factual. Okay. So factually, yes, he was within the right to defend himself, which I could agree with, but also at the same time, I think there should be some type of law or something that punish you for your stupidity, you know, because he put himself in that situation.
Yep.
And my thing is like I get and trust me, I get the protest, but I like peaceful protests. I'm not one of them people that's like, yeah, man, let's burn this
Burn it
shit
down.
down,
Yeah.
burn. No,
No.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
never
difference
been one of them type
between
people. I will
protesting and
protest
riots.
for what I believe in. Yeah, I would protest what I believe in, but rioting, looting, and shit, like, hell no. All the motherfuckers that do that shit, I want them in jail. To be honest.
And you're ruining
So
the
he
message.
got away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're destroying the message that you're trying to send, and you're not helping at
That's
all.
all they
So
talk
basically,
about now. Is the rioters, the looters, and the thugs or whatever. They're like, what, they don't even know what we're talking about.
and they don't care about what's really going on anymore, like what's really happening, because you give them something to talk about negative, they're gonna turn it to, even though it's negative for us, it's a positive for them because they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna put it on the news, play it here, play it there on this station, that station. We're gonna get this person to say something. Now we got this person. We gave
Expressing
this
their
A
opinions and
or
shit.
C, to say all the shit that they want to say when that's not every black person, or it's not every Spanish person. That every Spanish person isn't like that. Every black person hamstring like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that just gives them a raw opinion when we do all the writing and everything
Yeah,
like that. But
when they express their opinion, it's like they're generalizing everybody instead of giving a factual opinion based on the information provided to them.
In the same breath,
right.
In the same breath, we also have to respect the fact that on our side as persons of color, that we also have to say, like, not all white people are the same, not all cops are the same.
Yes, facts.
Because
I agree with you 100%.
in the same breath, we can't sit here and be like, you can't generalize us, but then sit around and being like, all cops are pigs. Like,
Mhm.
you know, it goes both ways. I mean, because that's just like the hypocrisy of like them saying like, oh, this white kid got away with murder, and now this African American woman, she killed her abuser, and she's, you know what I'm saying? So we can't, like, it has to be a level playing field. Like that's the whole point of being, like, we're not bringing up privilege yet, but like taking down the privilege, like we need an even playing field. And I think that's where a lot of the conflict and the fighting comes from. It's like, you're right, I'm wrong. I can be a hypocrite. You can't. I could say all cops are bad, but you can't say all black people are bad. Or I could say all black people are bad, but you can't say all cops are bad. Like, it's just like,
they're not
a level playing field.
They're not ready to have that conversation, because to be able to have a conversation, both parties, or how many parties there would have to sit down and actually be open to hearing one another out. And when I mean hearing one another out, I mean like willing to understand where they're coming from, rather than listening and quickly, you're wrong. You have to almost
not to respond. Yes.
I mean, it also, a big factor is like each state has different laws, right? So like, take the color privilege out of the equation. He was white, right? I put myself in his shoes, and and given the opportunity of, like, if my family had a store or neighborhood and it was under attack, and because we're family, we want to protect whatever they created, I probably would have gone there and done the same thing. Not saying I would kill somebody, but be there and be a source of authority.
But then that's where your emotion comes in, and your intent and your maturity comes in. That's where you take your situation, and you're not just being like a off the bat, crazy person with a gun, and being a responsible owner, like, yo, back up. Like, respectfully back up. Like, not just waving your gun around and calling people trying to,
like, waving it like it's a wand.
Yeah. So
like, for me, if I was in that situation, I'm sorry. One thing I learned is fuck. I get it, life's work and all that and everything. But I'm at the point in my lifetime where as though you have to really piss me off. You know what I mean? I got insurance. Now, if I ain't have insurance on that property or that business, whatever, yeah, I'll be out there like, yo, look, I know what y'all protesting the rioting for, but yo,
You gotta look at it as
don't
a
fuck my
business.
store up. You dig what I'm saying? Don't fuck my shit up because I want my shit. I'm not insured.
Yeah.
But if I'm insured, I'm just like, fuck it. Like, like I used to get mad if I get in a car accident. I know it wasn't my fault, but then at the same time, when I think about it, I'm like, no one's hurt. I'm okay. They're okay.
I'm into that.
I got insurance. I got insurance. I don't know if they got insurance or not, but yeah, I mean, I'm good either way. That's what I pay for. That's what it's there for. So I mean, other people might be like, "Well, I can't look at it like that." That's just how I look at it because I'm just like, I ain't got time for the bullshit no more. You know, it's just like, and then also part of the people that was rioting and protesting, like, they weren't there for
the purpose.
and Black Lives Matters and shit. Like, they weren't. They were just playing part of an agenda to get their own agenda out and everything else. So that's why I was like, man, fuck this shit. But, you know, it's stupid overall. I called Kyle Rittenhouse. I think he figured out the tax code. So I think somebody should get him to get his tax. Because he's like, look, I can get away with murder. I can figure out that tax code loophole too, like Amazon. You know, don't pay no taxes.
It's funny because I when the whole George Floyd things happened in the beginning, I'm a baker. I have my own business here in Jersey. So somebody was like, oh, what if it was your business that what if you had a storefront and they burned it down or whatever? And I was like, not for nothing. If that was my business, like I would already have so much backup from the community that I would have people in my community protecting my store.
Yeah.
I would be outdoors and being like, here, you want a water? Like, here, you want a cupcake? like I'm with y'all. We're good.
Exactly.
Like, protect me. Like, I would have all the dudes in the hood backing my store up because that's part of being. What's the point of owning a business in a community when you don't have the backing of the community or you don't have the respect of the community?
Yeah, that's why they say you're supposed to invest in your community.
Exactly.
You know, but I think they do it all wrong. I think I think they do it all wrong. Like, you vandalizing the community is not sending a message.
It doesn't. Never does.
You attacking the banks. You attacking the main streets. You making a human wall and each precinct of police so they don't come out. That's making a statement.
Yeah.
Right.
You're devaluing your community by burning it to the ground.
Yeah, that's, if anything, that's what they want you to do. They want you to get so angry and fuck up everything you have worked for, so that
because
you know
they can't burn it down themselves.
Yeah,
so
it's all design. It's all a design. It's like you plant the seeds around to get what you want, and this, that, and third, and then bam, when it happens, you got it. Exactly. You know, like they play off your emotion and because they get it because minorities are tired of certain shit. Black people are definitely tired of a lot of shit in general, and it's because, you know, a lot of shit from Black folks literally been stripped from them, took it from them. No fairness, and then when it comes to getting loans and banks and equality with school learning and this, that, and third, like people still think that segregation was so long ago. It really wasn't that long ago, where blacks and whites couldn't even be in the same fucking school and things like that. So, you know, it's a history of built up anger that's been passed on from generation to generation. And you know, people just don't forget it. So yeah, it doesn't take much to sit there and piss off the Black community, because sometimes it's just like, fuck, it's like, when can we win? So, like, you know what? Yeah, even though I don't agree with the rioting and the looting and shit like that, but sometimes I can understand it, because at the same time, it's just like it's like at a point where it's though there's never going to be justice. Whenever a Black person is actually innocent, they're going to talk about, oh well, he's a thug, or he was this, or they're going to try to discredit the person's image and everything like
it's
that.
funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because there was a similar case, I think, in the same amount of time where the riots and Floyd and all this was going down. There was this runner, kid who was a jogger. I can't remember his exact name. Who was gunned down. Is that him? He was gunned down by 3 people. So when they're in the court, the defendant was basically like saying, yeah, his toenails were dirty. Like nothing had to do with the whole case, but she went out of her way to like demoralize the person who passed away, who was killed, to say he was so dirty and so foul that even his toenails were dirty. They had nothing to do.
So let's shoot him. Toenails dirty, shoot him. Okay.
Yeah, and that proves our point. Like, and like, because people try to say, "Oh, racism doesn't exist." I said, "Well, there you go, right there." I said, "That's people. There's a lot of people out here that ask for proof, and they think there's no like. I even think Ben Shapiro said, he doesn't see racism or whatever. I don't know. It's probably one of his videos. He said something similar to that matter. I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on that. But overall, it's a lot of racism that's still out here that still exists, and racism, it goes all the way around. It goes like black people can be racist, white people can be racist, Spanish people can be racist.
Yeah,
it don't matter.
Every culture has its racist person.
They all can be
racist to their own kind and racist to others.
Right.
You know how many? So I was born here, right? And I grew up in Puerto Rico. You know how many times I've been? I didn't know what a spick was until I moved here. I swear to God.
Oh, I got a history with that word. I remember the first time it was said to me, I didn't know what it meant. And my mom told me. And then the next day I went back to school, boy said it again, I punched him right in the damn face. And I know the whole thing, sticks and stones may break my bones.
Man, that don't mean shit.
But that don't mean shit, because when you say certain racist slang or words that was just meant for negativity, it bothers you. It bothers the hell out of you.
The intention.
The intention, the intent behind the word is so lethal. It's like a lethal injection. Like, it's just like, yeah, bitch, I said that shit to you. Like, what you gonna do? Like, like that's what it feels like. When that happened to me, I've been called a spick before. I've been called a nigger before. And I said, each time that was said to me, I literally swung on the motherfucker, because I was just like, you could feel a difference in how it was being said to you. Like, it was being said, like when he said it, it was like, yo, did he just punch me and I didn't see him punch me? Like, that's what it felt like real stuff. I'm just like, man, you just called me a spick, and I just closed my eyes. The next thing you know, I'm just hitting him. I'm just like, bitch, what are you talking about? He called me a nigger. I was like, what? Like, like, I never liked them words.
The crazy thing is, it's not just words, right? So I think that people think that racism doesn't exist because it doesn't entail people yelling spick or the N-word at people, or it, they that's what they see racism as. Like, oh, I don't see anybody walking around calling people, the N-word with the hard ER or like whatever. And because it's evolved into so much more. It's evolved into microaggressions. It's evolved into school systems, like you said before, like they don't get the same like opportunities as us. That's the form of racism. Like, and they're like, oh no, it doesn't exist, because they don't see it in front of them. They don't experience it every day. They're not the one, like, they're like, oh, you get to drink from the same water fountain now. Like, oh, we all, like, schools aren't segregated. That's what they think racism is. But when you try and explain to them, like, it's not just blatant racism and calling people names and segregation. It's the microaggressions. It's the little stupid things that are said that you're like, what? Like, it's the comments on, black hair. It's the comments on the way that people live. It's calling, people of color thugs. Like little things like that. It's like you think of people of color as less than you. That is racism. If you think of, just like in Cubans, they have their white population and their black population. They have a few Puerto Ricans. They have the Tainos and the black and the white Puerto Rican. Like everybody has their thing where they look down on a certain group of people. And that's what the racism is. And people are just like, no, that's not racism. And like, yes, that's what fucking racism is. Like, but and they just don't get it because it's not blatant in front of their face. So I'm half white. My mom is German and my father's Ecuadorian. My father's an immigrant from Ecuador. Growing up, I grew up with my mom. They've been separated forever. So my mom is blonde hair, hazel eyes, and there's me. In the summer, I get dark as hell. So people look at my mom like growing up, like, is this your daughter? Like, did you adopt her? Like little stupid things where it's like, I couldn't possibly be her daughter. Yeah. Like, and I didn't know growing up. And my sister is, her father is Puerto Rican. He's like black Puerto Rican. So my sister is, darker. And I remember going upstate New York with my mom and my white family. Like they would like ask my sister, like, who do you belong to? Like who, like, and because there's all white people, and she's like they thought she was adopted. Like, so it was kind of like, shit like that growing up where you don't notice it. And now that we're older and we're a different generation and we're more, awake and our eyes are open to these things, we're kind of like, yo, that's fucked up. Like, and then during this whole George Floyd thing, I noticed so many of my mom's friends are fucking racist. And I was just like, what? Like the past 2 years was such a realization for me, because again, me growing up, I will say I grew up privileged because my mother was white. I was around all her white friends and whatever. And I never had to really look at my skin color and realize that like I'm the daughter of an immigrant until recently, because then I started getting like, what the fuck? Like, okay, so what did you guys think about my dad when my mom was with him? Like, talking about immigrants and like kicked them out of the country and all this shit that's been going on. And I'm like, that's racism right there. I'm like, you guys been racist my whole life. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So even like me, I was just like, hold up, like what is happening? So it was a realization that I had, that I didn't realize what racism was either until the past few years with all the Black Lives Matter movement and the killings of, Black men and women by police. And I'm just like, holy shit. But you have to be open to that. You have to be willing to understand that I'm fucking privileged. Like, holy crap. Like, and nobody wants to say they're privileged. Nobody wants to say they got an upper hand, or nobody wants to say they got away with things because of their skin color. Nobody wants to admit that because they don't think it, because it's never happened to them. They've never, nobody. Anyway, I could go on and on about all the shit that I
No, I feel that.
Agree.
Yeah,
I'm glad you shared that.
Like that
dope. I like it.
that gives
went
me
live about it during George Floyd, where I was like trying to like get my message across to the people that I knew, where I was like, yo, we are fucking privileged. Like, you're sitting here saying you're not privileged. Like, dude, like my mom worked for the city in Hoboken. I got like cops pulled me over. I've gotten tickets and they'd be like, why don't you just tell me who your mom was? Like, I've had these experiences where I've gotten away with shit because of who my mom is, who my family is.
But nobody wants to admit that. It's like that. I think Dave Chappelle said it the best. Like, everybody wants to be black, but nobody wants to be black. Right? Everybody wants to be that cool, have that swag, all that shit, but nobody wants to, accept the traumatic part of it, right?
Exactly.
Like that, like the what happened to George? Was it George
Floyd?
George Floyd, right? Like, it's okay to happen when it's not on camera. Repeat. I'm gonna repeat myself. It's okay to happen when it's not on camera, because that's something that's been happening for years. John Crow law. They were lynching motherfuckers left and right. They were lynching them like they were like they were an animal they were being hunted, right? And we go through down the history books and we see vivid pictures of that shit. For as long as it's not happening in real time, it's not recorded, it's okay. That as soon as we saw it on live event of actual somebody committing murder, actually somebody using the force of their power, which is the law, to abuse somebody and take their life away, that's when it did not become okay. Because this has been happening for years, but no one really has gave a fuck. And every time they've gone and do these protests, they're missing the message. Everybody, we're so full of emotion sometimes that we can't meet eye to eye, and that's just facts.
I agree. A lot of people lead with emotion, and that's exactly where the divide in the world. Everybody says it's the media, it's politics, whatever. No, it's us. Like, we are the fucking divide, because we cannot sit down and have a conversation without you telling me I'm wrong and me being like, whatever, fuck you. Like, because that's what it is. There's so many people. I can't even have conversations with people. Like, I want to sit down and just be like, yo, you listen to me, I listen to you. What is the problem? But no, it's like, I think social media also has like lit a fire under this, where I read something the other day where they said we were never supposed to be exposed to this many opinions. Because it's like, you go on social media and it's kind of like, what the fuck am I reading? Like, what are you saying? Like, what do you, like, I can't believe that you actually believe the things that are coming out of your mouth. I can't believe that you're not open to understanding where these people are coming from, and you're just like, nah, I don't want to fucking hear it because it's not me. And
but a lot of opinions, like right now, the world, let's use Instagram, right? For example, it's run by a lot of young age teenager that does not have life experience. They don't know, they don't have enough life experience, because if you did, you would choose not to even to not talk about it, not because it's you don't want to talk about it, but don't talk about it because it's not worth it. You grow to the understanding you have to pick and choose your battles, because some shit you can go with, but some shit you can't.
I agree that it is the younger generation, but it's also the older generation that grew up in the time of lynchings and blatant like segregation and stuff or whatever, where it's kind of ingrained into them, where they don't even realize that they're doing it, and they're just like, this is just, what do you mean? This is how I grew up. This is what was right this entire time. I can't be wrong. Like, what do you mean? So it's like we're stuck in between the older generation that is like
parents and children.
Like, shut up. And then and then the younger kids where they're like OD, like extreme, like they don't even know what they're talking about anymore. Like they're just like, yeah, I'm offended, and yeah, like, whatever.
We're stuck in parents and children. That's all we are, parents and children. That same fight as you as a parents and children, because the people who run majority of this country are older people. But the people who consume it the most, majority older, younger people.
Exactly.
So
we're in between the future and the past, and we're kind of like, what? Because I don't know. Are you guys like? Well, I don't know how old you guys are. Like, you guys are millennials also, or I'm a millennial, but I'm not really.
I don't know.
So like, so you're a millennial, like between like 89 and
late 89. I'm late.
Yeah. So
I think that's Gen Z too, right? Is that?
Well, no, Gen Z is like 2000. So it's like 79, it's like 79, 80 to like 2000 is millennials. So we're millennials. But it depends on where you grew up. And that's why I say like I'm technically a millennial, but I don't consider myself a millennial because I grew up with older heads and I was always around the older crowd, and I don't have a lot of the views that these millennials have. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about either. But technically we are the millennials stuck in between the boomers and Gen Z. And it's like they're old and stuck in their ways, and then these kids have no idea which direction to go, and we're kind of just like, what the fuck is happening? Like everything's just going.
I could agree. I definitely agree, because when you think about it, like you said, the old people don't want to change their ways. That's why it's still old motherfuckers that's still get in office and this, that, and the third. And the thing is, because here's one thing I told this person, and they got mad at me when I said this. But I said, I want you to think about this. I said, these protests, I said, for Black Lives, I said, you saw more and you actually saw a glimpse of the past too. It was like, well, what you mean? I said, look, me growing up, I thought that I would never see a protest like this, the civil rights protest or anything like that about, blacks unfairly and this. I thought that that would have been done at my age. I was young at the time, so I didn't think none of it. And as I got older, I started seeing, I said, man, this shit's still here, even though by law they say it ain't here. But in reality, if you're living it, you really know. And I said, but the thing is, what I caught a glimpse of, which I did like, was the fact that you really saw a united front besides some stupid ass Antifa. And what I mean by that, you had white people, you had black folks, you had Spanish folks, you had Asian folks.
Mhm.
Yeah, motherfuckers in fucking Iraq and Germany
France. Yep.
saying even fucking Korea said something that this shit ain't right. Like they seen it across the world and they say, yo, enough is enough. Like that shit's insane. And I said, that's what the old folks are scared of. And that's why they still have the shit that they still getting away with and still allow them because they want to keep that old practice still going.
Yep.
Because the thing is, this generation, including ours, we are woke. We are woke. We know the difference, and it's scaring the old folks because the old way isn't going to work anymore. That's why certain laws are getting passed. That's why certain things are getting passed on, looked over, and this, that, and the third. That's why certain things is getting taken away because at the end of the day, they can't stop what's coming, and that's a unified front, and they're scared of that. Whereas though, like the United States, trust me, the history of the United States is fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we all know it. We know how this country became a country was very horrible, and they still fail to acknowledge that.
But nothing's built
Free
out of good
labor,
deeds.
yeah. So you know they're scared of that whole united front that's about to form, and it's a whole coalition, and they're doing their best to sit there and stop it from happening. That's why all this shit that you seeing is still gonna keep going. That's why it's a show they call it a white nationalist show or the socialist show. I remember watching it, and it was the Asian guy talking to the white dude, and white dude, he's saying, "Look, I don't care about y'all this, that, and third." He said, "I just want my white people to stay in power." He's saying this live on TV. He's saying this isn't scripted
And
or
it's funny because they
anything.
do. They
He's
say
saying
shit
that
like
shit.
that, and it's like
He's saying it, and I'm watching. I'm like, damn. He told the Asian dude, he said, "You can have your shit over there." He said, "But I want my white people to stay in power. I want my white race to be as pure as it is. White. He's saying all this shit, and I'm just sitting here looking. I'm like,
White
how the no
power.
but a lot of people not gonna pay attention to it. But I'm one of the type people like I'll watch almost anything just to see what's it about. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna watch this. And one time I watched it, and I was like, he was saying, I'm just listening. I said, okay. And then he basically kind of admitted what I just said. Like, yo, we're fighting for our survival. He said, now our white women love y'all black men, love y'all Spanish men, and this, that, and the third, and all this, and love y'all Asians and shit. And I'm just start cracking the fuck up. I'm just like, yo, I said, yeah, I said, this dude is really saying all this shit on TV, and I'm just like,
but it doesn't exist. There's nobody like that.
yeah, but it doesn't exist, or nobody's like that, and everything. So I'm just like, dang.
But just to add on the whole like the movement that you're saying and that they're scared or whatever. I mean, I also think that it could be such a great movement but I do feel like there's a lot of loose ends, and I feel like a lot of people don't know what they're doing. Like everybody said that we need a leader, like, you know, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or whatever. But I think we came to terms with the fact that they kill leaders, so we can't really have a leader because they'll kill them. You know what I mean? So I feel like we all need to come together and like be consistent with shit, and not just like go to a protest and then just be like, all right, I did my part and I'm out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we need to, as you know, and slowly it's happening. But like I said, like the younger crowd, they're kind of like all over the place, and they're too extreme, and they're just fighting to fight, and they just want to be heard or whatever. Like I feel like they got like other issues going on like that they need to address.
They got mommy and daddy issues.
Yeah. So it's just like I feel like that's why I feel like us, like our generation, like we got to be the ones to be like, yo, let's talk it out. Like I'm indifferent. Like I'm sit here, like I'll talk to Trump supporters. You know what I'm saying? I have Trump supporting friends that I've had conversation with, and you know, I'm just like, yo, that's your opinion, cool. As long as you don't fucking disrespect me, and I don't see you doing any racist shit, we're cool. You can have your opinion or whatever. When it comes to those extreme people, I'm like, no, you could go somewhere else. Like I don't want to have nothing to do with you. But that's the thing. It's like these younger kids, like they don't want to hear nothing either.
Mm-hmm. They know it all. You try to talk to them and they'll tell you, I know.
And it's like you're here. It's like, yeah, we're good. And then somebody just fucking jumps off that thing, and it's just like, what just happened? Like it was going great, and now we look like fucking assholes. Thanks. Like the rioters and the protesters. Like, yeah, we're good. We're protesting. We're great. And then somebody fucking throws a Molotov, and we're like, great. There goes that. You know,
they don't fuck up what we was here for. Like,
yeah. It's like, so like,
you know something. You know something to add. I love Michael Jackson, right? I always loved his music and everything. And the song Man in the Mirror,
mm-hmm.
you know, it's basically, you know, it always resonated with me because if you like, and even in the song, it tells you if you really want to make a change, you got to start with yourself.
Yep.
And that's the key to all these movements out here, that if you want the real positive thing to happen, if you want to really get rid of most of this shit, we can't get rid of all of the evil in this world because unfortunately there's a balance in this world. This world unfortunately can't be all good and it can't be all bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But if you want to do that, then you know, we all have to start within ourselves. And a lot of people don't understand that, even though it's like plain and simple right in front of your face, and like, yo, this is what you need to do. You start off with, you know, putting good energy in the world. Then the next person you see, you giving them good energy. Okay. Then they take that good energy, they give it to the next person. And it goes on and on and on. Like that's how it all, you know, we can end most of that shit and get more things accomplished.
Exactly.
Because yeah, we all have to show up for a protest. And
then what?
Go back and do some stupid shit right after. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, damn well you just protested for this and you done left and went back and go do some dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like, no.
When I went to the protest in Hoboken, and I specifically went because that's my hometown. And I was born and raised there. I know a lot of the police officers there. I know I have, you know, friends and family there, people I went to school with. So I specifically went because it was turning into this really big thing. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going specifically to make sure that nobody starts shit in my hometown, because I didn't want Hoboken to be like, oh, you know, the projects came up and like blaming the projects, or because, you know, it's a very gentrified predominantly white town now. Yes. And I didn't want anybody to fuck that up for us. So there was like, I don't even know how many people were there. It was huge. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was amazing. But there were some people in the crowd that were starting shit, yelling at cops, calling them pigs. And the people of Hoboken were kind of like, oh, hold up. Like, we're not doing that shit here. Like, no, we're not doing that shit here. Like, there was one girl, like there was like these two white girls I remember, and they were like, fuck the pigs and whatever. And one of the girls that I know, she was like, hold up. She's like, are you fucking even from here? Like, where are you from? And they were like, no, we're not
What's
here.
your click, fool?
Like, yo, and then she was like, we're not doing that shit here. Like, calm the fuck down. Because, and that's where what you got to do. You got to check your own people. So you got to check the people that are supposed to be with you too, because that's where it's like, you're going to fuck it up for all of us. And then there was a point where the cops were like, they blocked off the block of City Hall, and everybody was like around, like we weren't even supposed to go by City Hall, but we decided we're marching to City Hall. So we marched to City Hall, and the cops are like blocking it, and everybody started chanting like take a knee to the cops, and
Show respect.
all the cops, and these weren't Hoboken police, these were state troopers, I believe, and all the cops took a knee except for one guy. He was like, I'm not doing it, right? So we're like, okay, so you're the one. All right, cool. So one of the girls that we were with was like, what the fuck? You see us? Like, she started flipping out, and I like got in between her, and I was like, no, like, we see who he is. Now we know that's the one. He's on tape somewhere. We know to look out for this fucking guy. Just let it go. Like, just let it go. All the other dudes, they respect, they all took a knee. Like, we can't do that, because then what would have happened? Then that would have turned into an altercation. It would have been like all the, the people of color in Hoboken started shit in Hoboken. Like, so we have to check our own people.
Yeah.
Too. Like, you see somebody doing some foul shit, you gotta be like, nah, like we're not, like, I'm not down with that. Like, cut it out.
Yeah. I think in order for this to, like, I'm like just picking back what Nick said, like we have to look inwards, right? And that's from ourselves and our generation after generation. I think we as people have to create value for ourselves, right? And when I mean values, not like religions or beliefs, and what value as in we have to start implementing respecting one another's space, respecting you as a person. Respect is it's like, yet again, like a court system. You get respect until you're proven guilty. I think as society, especially now, we force ourselves of one another without knowing to try to be accepted in something, rather than respect each other's boundaries and let time show you if, let's say, you're worth it or not. It's not about being black, blue, red. It's not about being gay. It's about boundaries. Like I'm a person that I like my space. I get very irritated when somebody crosses my space and I don't know you or I'm not comfortable with you. But throughout time, if you respect me, I'm going to show you respect and same, and we can share the same walkway, knowing our limitations and boundaries. Because like, especially like as I gotten older, right? When I was young, I was fucking wild, cursing, doing stupid shit as a fucking teenager. Fucking older people would look at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And all they wanted was their peace and quiet, enjoy their fruits of their labor that they have planted throughout the years. And that's it. And not knowing that one day I'll get there and I want the same thing. So if we can start creating that value, like that's one thing about me. I don't care if you love me, like me. I don't give a fuck, but I care about if you respect me. Because for as long as you respect me, when it comes to me, when I come a thought in your mind, is that question is going to be like, oh shit, do I do this? Do I, do this, or do I don't do this? And it's not going to be out of fear. It's going to be out of respect. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think if we could create that, that's the first step to progress and unity, right? And setting some type of foundation so we can live in a society where we honor thy neighbor and not take things so seriously, and cooperate and create a strong community. But that's me.
And it's crazy because as you're saying that, I'm kind of like, that's nice, but it's unrealistic. It's just, there's so many, and it's really sad to say that, because as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, I get it. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, Like I don't. It's sad that I never see that happening. And
But
it's
that's the beautiful.
sad.
That's the beautiful part right there. Exactly what you said. That's the most important part because that's the part that you realize.
Mhm.
You realize the cruel reality of life. That's when you come to accept what it is and what's going to be, and accept your position and how are you going to do about it, and realize this is what you want and how you're going to progress to get that.
Yep.
Right? It's like an alcoholic or a drug addict. The first step is realizing and accepting it. Once you get that down pack, you realize your surroundings, you realize your position that you're in. Now you know where to start.
Yeah.
And a lot of like for me, for years, I don't know what the fuck to start. But
I feel like we're all kind of still winging it. We're like,
yeah,
yeah, let's just have it. Yeah.
and it is, you have to be self accountable. I can try to talk to fucking 20 people to start something, right? And they're all gonna give me that if and fucking but, right? But it starts with you. It starts with you. And just keep moving forward and hope for the best. Hope they'll follow or see what you're trying to do. And hey man, fuck it.
Crap. What was I saying? Oh, I have like a large following on Facebook and social media because of my business. I've been in, network marketing. I've been an entrepreneur for over 5 years now. So when all of this started happening, like Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and stuff, a lot of people were mad at me. A lot of people, because I voiced everything. Like I was like, this is fucking wrong. Like you're wrong for that. And like people were like citing, and like I said before, like I started seeing all these people for like what they really thought, and I was calling them out on it. And I was just like, dude, like you're like, wow, that's who you are. Like, okay, cool, or whatever. But I decided that like I'm like a lot of people fell off of my, my following because of this. But I'm like, I'm passionate about this. And this is what I believe in. And I'm not going to sugarcoat the way I feel or what I believe is right or wrong for the sake of my business, because I feel like the right people will support me no matter what. And I still have a large following, and people respect the way I feel and what I say. And they're like, that's you and that's who you are. And I appreciate the fact that you're so vocal about things, even if they don't agree with me, they're still supporting me, and those are the right people I want, because anybody who thinks that I'm, wrong, then they're just not my people. So like, we have to stop like trying to, like step on eggshells and not say the wrong things or whatever. Like, yo, what's wrong is wrong. And like you said, like it starts with us. And that's how I started with me, where I was like, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm passionate about. You guys can talk about politics and Trump all the fuck you want, but don't bring any like racism shit my way, because I will tear you apart. That's why, like, don't like this whole like wrongful killing, this murder, like, oh, they got away with it because they were white, and who cares? They were thugs. Like, don't bring that shit to me, because I will flip out on you. That's why when you asked me to talk about this, I was like, I'm ready, because
Let's get it out there.
Locked and loaded. She was locked and loaded. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't talk about it. I haven't talked about it on social media, just because it was like Thanksgiving. I was busy. And when the verdict, I saw you and your wife, and I was like, I had made a post where I was like, I can't do this today. I cannot. I don't have time for this. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, I was like in my car yelling, like randomly, like I was like, oh my God.
Listen, it's difficult to talk about. It's difficult to talk about. But it's more difficult to understand, because in social media, like the press nowadays would literally say anything just to sell paper.
Yep.
And get views and subscriptions. Yep. So you really don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, little do you know, we're judging this motherfucker, but this motherfucker, like on paper and what they're presenting factually, he wasn't wrong.
Exactly.
But then they'll put on paper, he's fucking white. Yeah. Fuck him, right? So like, we've become like, you do something like that, we'll become the exact same thing we hated. We become racist to white people.
That's what I say all the time. I'm like, how does this make you guys? How does this make us better? It doesn't make us better than them. Like we're doing exactly what, and it's the hypocrisy. I always talk about this with my friends. I'm like, it's the hypocrisy for me. Like, I'm like, you can't say, like I said before, you can't say all Black people are this, and you can't say all white people are this either. Like they're like, you can't.
Yo, you know what's crazy?
Yeah, every race got a bad bunch.
Yeah, and like Jaws and me progressing in the work field before I started becoming an entrepreneur, like it was my own kind that would put the foot for me to fall. You know, the Black community was very vocal on what they are, whether they'll help me. If they don't help me, it's because they're not gonna help themselves, so they don't give a fuck. White people, all they wanted was somebody prove you can do the work, and then if you can, you by proving you excel on your own. But it was really my own people that put my foot down and for me to fall. Facts.
Can you elaborate on that? I don't.
So um before
Situation. Just say.
I have a couple situations.
Yeah.
Like before like this last employment I had, you know, I was an operation manager. I was is the VP, is the owner, VP, then me, right? And me, when I say me, is the whole branch. So we was the next to follow. And this person, right? She was Puerto Rican just like me. Like I rarely find that, right? And I had this situation in this account and where they didn't want this worker because of the color of his skin. Basically told me like he doesn't look right. And I was like, what? And he was like, he doesn't look right.
Shit.
So I said it, I said, huh, the third time. And that's when I got kicked out. It's like, I'm sorry. Are you slow? I keep telling you he doesn't look right. And I'm not sure if you're mocking me or you don't understand what I'm saying. So I'm gonna need you and take your worker and leave the property. Right. And the person that was superior to me, like, was shut after I explained it. She didn't want me to contact her. She didn't want whatever. So I was told to not return to that site. So I took initiative and did my own meeting. And I wanted to know, how do I handle this? Because I've been victim of racism, right? But that's me. I sometimes I wake up not giving a fuck. Well, majority of the time, so it doesn't bother me. Right, keep it moving. But I didn't know how to handle now witnessing it happen to somebody else, and I'm the boss, right? I didn't know how to handle that.
The advocate for him. Yeah, I get it.
And him asking me, why can't I go back to work? Why am I no longer there? I was doing such a good job. I had no complaints, right? So I didn't know what the fuck to do. I've never had that situation. So I had this meeting, which they didn't. My superior did not take it seriously. She came half an hour late. Plus, she was drunk. Right. She was on fucking Adderall. Um, and we had this meeting, and I did the best that I can to explain to her what happened. Her response, it doesn't matter, the client always comes first. And you know, my response was like, do you understand as a Latino? And her response was like, I don't know, I was born here. And when it comes to the client comes first. And I was like, I can accept what you're saying, because as a small business owner, the client always comes first. But I can't accept that coming from you. At least tell me something like, yo, shit happens, it's fucked up, but don't worry about that. This is between you and me, right? Keep it G between us. Because
we'll find another site or something. We'll put him somewhere else. Like,
yeah, like
yeah,
that's the type of relationship, the rapport I had with that person.
Yeah.
Literally. So to her, not seeing that, I didn't take it well. Because first of all, she was a VP, for a woman who was a VP in a company. I was very proud of that.
Hispanic woman.
Hispanic my shit.
Yeah.
I've never been prouder for working for a woman, right? Yeah. Like, she's a fucking mecca. And because I didn't and because I didn't accept that, her response was like, listen, you're not the boss. Nobody's here the boss. We are equal. I do make more money than you, but we are equal. And your position, I wipe my ass with it.
Wow.
To this day, I still have it here.
Oh, you recorded it.
To this day, I still have it here.
CNN.
Right?
CNN.
And you know, if it hasn't erased it, because I think I deleted the app, it's something I've never brought to light. I spoken about it and whatnot, but I just, because I didn't really give a fuck. Like, after that, I didn't give a fuck. I'm weird like that. But that's when I left that place. And to be somebody that I respected and admired so much, and that we had as soon as we met, we had this type of relationship, even though she was my boss. There was something there. There was something about her being a Puerto Rican for the last 30 years and me coming in being the only Puerto Rican working side by side to her for the last 30 years. It was something special. At least I felt it, right?
Yeah. And then to realize that it didn't mean anything to her was kind of like a slap in the face. That you're like, wait, what? Like,
yes.
Yeah. I would be pissed too. Yeah. I get it. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm like, yo, we need to push that like that whole money thing and like power, like that's what they do. That's what they do to keep us. And then when you start seeing your people following that kind of suit, you're like, bro, I thought like
and here's the thing.
What we despise.
Yeah. Here's the thing with that, right? And I'm gonna repeat this because I was talking to this with my wife the other day, and I broke it down to her like this. So we live in an era where only two things matters, which is those zeros and O's in technology and the money signal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we go sometimes we're lost in this fucking illusion and where we got to make money when we want to become a billionaire, a trillionaire, whatever the fuck to be. But when it comes at the end, when it's time to clock out, we don't bring none of that shit with us. And our dying bed, we say what we regretted the most, right? And when you go on to the other side, the only thing that matters is that weight of how in your life, how much have you been kind to someone, right?
Yeah.
That's facts. So when we move on, there's that line that we leave behind. And all those millions, all the shit you work, there's only going to be these type of people. There's going to be one person. The only thing they're going to be fucking fighting is about how much money you left and they want it. They're going to be people arguing about, I didn't deserve this. I deserve more. You're going to have another person discrediting you as a person, as a human being of everything you have accomplished. there's going to be another person that's going to miss you, but all for the fucking wrong reasons.
Mhm.
And there's rarely nobody going to miss you just because they missed you. So while you lived a life smashing this goals, making this fucking money, all this shit, you lost the message of all of it. You did not learn the lesson.
Mhm.
You took for granted every little fucking moment you had special. You were never kind. Your pride got in your way so many times. And your goal is to be great and be a legend, and nobody will fucking miss you for the things you really wanted to miss, and that's you being you.
Yeah, and that's where they lose themselves, where they start getting the power and they start gaining the money, and then they lose it, and then they become like your boss did, and then you're just like she had you on her team, and then that's how you lose people on your team. That's how you're like, okay, forget it. Like I thought we were cool. I thought this was a whole different situation, but it's not. So
Yeah,
on your way.
I love working there. I love my
Yeah.
position. I loved it, and that was a moment that broke. Like I had that same similarity years ago when I worked at Verizon. Like I was having this meeting with this union representative, and she said, excuse me, she had finished losing, I think, one of her sons, and she said something like, "Jobs come and go, but kids don't." Like she said in Spanish. I was like, "Fuck." And
Mhm.
that same day, I fucking left that job.
Yeah.
And right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the
That's
paycheck
a wake up
was nice.
call.
I could have used it right now, but you
Yeah.
know,
But that's like I was saying, like a lot of the people in my circle that I grew up with my mom, like I had that realization too. Like I'm like, oh, you guys were cool with my mom, you guys babysat me, you guys were, and then when you start realizing like who these people are, I remember I had a situation like that too when I worked at a pharmacy. There was this chick that came in, she was cool, she used to travel all the time. Every time we talked, she was like, telling me about her trips. I'm like, oh, where'd you go now, or whatever. And she's like, then one day she came in and she's like, she had to pay for her birth control, right? And she was like, what? She was like, $50 for birth control. She's like, oh, she goes, but I bet you if I was an immigrant, I would get it for free.
mm,
I was like,
has
I was
nothing to
like,
do with your birth control
Damn.
shit.
yo, I legit looked at her and I looked at my arm and I was like, I'm like, my father's an immigrant. My father's
Yeah.
an current immigrant. Like what? Like how? And ever since that day, I was like, so that's who we are. Okay, cool. Like, and I wasn't cool with her ever again. I'm like, how? And then that's that microaggression racism where people say it doesn't exist because she didn't like straight out, call people like spics or, terrorists or whatever. But that was like a microaggression where I was like, okay, got it. I get you. So, but anyway.
Small moments define uh the reality of a person.
Yeah. Nick looks tired.
Yeah.
No, I'm
So
not. Actually, I'm not tired.
we didn't get to this other girl. I want to talk to her
No,
before we
we gotta
go.
get to the other girl. No, I'm not tired. It's just
We're just telling stories now.
no, no. You know how like the weather and it gets you yawning for no reason.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because like I live in a
The
county.
way the
I don't
way
live in city no more. So the winds and all this shit, it's just crazy. And like I'm adjusting to it. I'm just
it's
like,
like the your
yo.
bank account, the way where you're checking. That's what that
Yeah.
sounds like right now. So
So who's the other girl, real quick?
Chrystal Kizer,
Mhm.
she's a victim of sex trafficking, right? Accused of killing her alleged abuser, wins appeal in Wisconsin. So this girl, who I think was 17 at the time, um, was abducted by Randall Phillip in 2008. No, was murdered in 2008. So this guy was a drug trafficker and he abducted this girl.
Mhm.
So what they're saying in this article from the Washington Post is that she plotted to kill him so she can take his BMW, right? not mistaken,
Mhm.
take his vehicle and get away. And for the last year, she's been fighting in court for her life, for her freedom, because they're basically stating that she shouldn't be free because he plotted to kill him. So she knew what she was doing.
Okay. So
So you can go ahead, Tatiana.
no, go ahead. I'm reading. Go ahead.
All right. So based off reading it, I did have a couple question marks.
Yeah.
Like, because I did, they said she posted a picture of a mugshot saying this, and also think one of her girlfriends knew about it. They, I guess, I don't know. I'm assuming they communicated about it, whether she was helping or not. I'm not too sure. I had to double back and read that again. But the thing is, what I noticed about the appeal, what she told the judge, she said, "What the hell did she say?" She said, "I'm not trying to walk away free.
Mm.
I get that, laws are laws, whatever. But I think she basically was like telling the judge, I want you to hear me out. Like, hear what I have to say and things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature, basically." And I mean, I hate to say this, but the dude probably had it coming to him anyway. If it wasn't going to be her,
Here's
someone
my
else was going to.
here's my
Someone
question,
else was
right?
going to do it. Like he's a Mac. He's a pimp daddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's my thing, right? Here's my question. What is the difference between with Kyle, right?
Kyle and her.
Kyle
Kyle.
and her, right? Because this dude, he killed these people because they were about to assault him, fuck him up, whatever, right? He was self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that she plotted to kill him, but wasn't she in the same predicament he was? She was somebody who was very abusive, probably getting raped left and right, and she needed to escape.
Okay. So factually, this is where you have to look at the
Mm.
facts and you have to look at the laws, right? This went over a period of time, right? So she was since she was 16. She was 16 when she met him. So this was going on for a few years. He was giving her money, he was giving her gifts, she was taking it, she was fine with that.
Mm.
He was abusing her sexually for more than a year, but she was taking gifts and cash from him. So it's kind of like it's not like he was sexually abusing her at the second and at the point of time that she killed him. It's not like he was doing something, committing the act. She plotted what was going on. She set his house on fire. She took his car. Like, again, this is where you have to look at the facts, where it's like it's you gotta look at the laws. You can't you gotta take the emotion out of it, and you gotta say, like,
what is the God, what is it's like the age of consent in Wisconsin, right? Because she was 17 at the time, taking all these gifts and whatnot. It sounds to me like she was wanting that's some like R. Kelly type of shit.
16. Age of consent in Wisconsin is 16.
All right, so here's something for y'all, and this is on a dude baller. Well, he's dead, so. But Kaiser says she was defending herself after Vala, who had been filming his abuse of her since she was 16, pinned her to the floor when she refused to have sex with him.
Okay.
And
Also that.
the issue with the lawyers and the prosecutors, they're arguing the meaning of Wisconsin's affirmative defense law, which is a somewhat similar laws to around self defense.
To what is it called? Affirmative.
Affirmative defense law. of Wisconsin's affirmative defense law. So that's the thing, and they said they're basically arguing that any offense did not include homicide, and that even if it did, Kaiser charges should only be lowered to lesser ones. But the appeals court agreed with Kaiser's lawyers, who argue any offense did indeed mean any offense.
I'm sorry for my ignorance. Like pimping somebody is considered sex trafficking.
That is.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That is like, yeah. I mean, he obviously wasn't a good pimp because the dude had he had charges. Well, he was going to be charged with something else because he drugged a 15-year-old and she escaped from his house and everything, and they had evidence of that too. So his behaviors, it ain't new. It adds up.
Yeah.
You know, so like me personally, I get that, you know, the law is the law if we go factual based and everything like that. But at the same time, like, dude had to go regardless. You dig what I'm saying? And I hate to say that, but he had to go because, like,
No,
they
you
look.
can't say that though.
I'm a realist. I'm a
You can't
realist.
say that because then you can say that it was justified that Kyle Rittenhouse killed that dude because he was a pedophile. You can't say
No,
that.
not that. But no. But hold, see, here's the thing though.
Okay.
Think about it. All right, when you compare Kyle Rittenhouse and that guy, Kyle Rittenhouse was just a stupid kid from wherever the hell he was from. He had no ties. He had no ties to that person. Never met that person a day in his damn life.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about females that are under the same pimp and basically an abusive pimp. You know, there are females that are cool with pimps as long as they pimps treat them right and don't beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Okay, but this obviously wasn't a good pimp. He was a bad pimp. He was forcing himself on little girls, 15. He was on some more than R. Kelly type shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they have evidence of that just from reading that. And I'm like, shit, you got to go, bro. That's just the way I look at it. Because I'm against rape. You know what I'm saying? Especially rape against underage girls that don't know no better. And like it could go into a whole thing. Like I think dudes that do that shit are dudes that just they a bunch of pussies. Like they never know how to do anything.
As a woman who has, I'm not gonna say I was been sexually, like molested or anything like that, but like I've dealt with men who are aggressive, and I've had situations in my life where things that should not have happened. I've had older men that were in my life trying lure me into places. I get it. Okay. I get it. But again, when you commit a crime, you need to be tried. And you can't pick and choose who dies when they're a criminal. You can't do that. I'm sorry.
I agree.
You can't. Just like
I agree with you. I do. I'm saying that's my personal opinion.
Anyway, he should have been choked out. Like you have. So that's where I'm like, you have to level the playing field, and you have to look at everything. You can't just pick and choose who can. Because also, like Kyle Rittenhouse, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, the cops weren't doing their jobs defending the city, so he did the job of the cops." So at which point do we say, okay, well, the cops weren't doing their job when they choked out George Floyd, so can we shoot the cops in the head?
There you go.
So you can't, just like I said, like, and there's that whole blur of line where it's like, they can't say this, but we can't say this either. Like, yeah, the guy's wrong. He deserves, like let him, but he needs to be tried. That's what the law is placed in. And so if we're so mad at the law that it's broken, we can't pick and choose when it's broken. We can't pick and choose who gets away with murder because we feel like it was wrong what they were doing the time that they were murdered. Murder is wrong regardless.
So
it's not up to us to be judge, jury, and executioner, just like it's not up to the cops to be judge, jury, and executioner.
But we all agree that OJ is guilty, right? He was guilty.
Well, hold on, I can't
I don't know,
laugh
man.
at that.
That glove didn't fit. I don't know.
The
If that
glove didn't fit, must have quit. But personally, OJ was smart. He was smart. I honestly, deep down inside, I honestly believe he did it. But no,
oh, he did
Tatiana,
do
I
it.
agree with you. But that's just like my personal opinion, and I'm like, even though, like I said, we'll keep facts with it. But personally, me, I'm just like, yeah, bro, you got to go. Like that's just me personally, because like
And I get
I'm
it.
just
Like,
like,
I
But you seen
totally,
that this is
you know what I mean? Like, no,
there's
I
this
don't like this shit. Like, no.
there's this fuck, it's not a meme. It's like it's this story. It's been going around on Facebook. I shared it on mine. I copy and paste and shared it on my story not too long ago. So this father, right? This father is in jail for murder. He his daughter was given away by his daughter's boyfriend, and she became a sex trafficker, right? So he went and hunted the motherfuckers down, got his daughter back, right? And then lured her boyfriend, who gave her up, killed him, and left them in the trunk. So they found him like a couple of weeks later.
mhm.
Is
Well, unfortunately, like I would consider that justified murder on not by laws, but by yo,
Okay.
I'm gonna get your ass back. That was my child. You did that, but he once he got his daughter back, that's cool. But he lured them in to get them, and yeah, unfortunately, you broke the law. I
Okay.
get it.
I'm like, cause like we gotta figure out, like, are we saying that people need to
Like,
obey the law? Are we saying that we could just buck and shot people whenever we feel like?
well,
Like, what's our
we're
position here? Like,
definitely not
like you
bucking
ever
shy
heard of the
people.
term? Yeah,
like this
you ever
ain't
heard of the terms street justice
I get it.
in,
Listen,
in the hood? Yeah, I think sometimes even when where the law won't help, that comes into play, and that's a whole nother topic, whole nother situation.
That's a
But
different. That's a little different life. That's
yeah, that's a whole nother life, and like yeah, the law couldn't prove it, but Lord knows when these particular people catch you, they're gonna fuck you up, and they're gonna look the other way because they know you got away with some shit. You
mm-hmm.
dig what I'm saying?
but
So
you do realize that that's the same mindset of the people that agree with Kyle Rittenhouse, right? That's the same
yeah,
mindset that
pretty
they
much.
have.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So so you can step into their shoes and be like, that's why they think he was right. Because they feel like
Yeah.
their town was being whatever, and somebody stepped in and the law didn't take it. So he took it into his own
Mm-hmm.
hands. He's
Yeah,
good.
they thought he was Captain America.
That's what I'm saying. So like that's where I'm like, yo, like we have to like take the emotion out of it.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's
The law.
defending your territory, right? That's basically what it was.
Exactly.
It
That's
wasn't
gang
about
shit.
race.
That's gang. That's what
But
that
it's
was.
different, bro. Majority of these gangs are fucking fighting, killing one another for fucking some small ass block. Like
Yeah.
small ass block. Like we're talking about like business where people conduct business
Yeah.
and try
Mm-hmm.
get their life fucking together.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, but we still have we don't have no say on who should go or take
No.
somebody's life.
That's why the laws are put in place. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why at the end of the day, it all boils down to a broken system. And this is what should be the center focus on all of these situations that happen. Is like the prosecution in Kyle Rittenhouse did not press the proper charges on him, so therefore he got away. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
a broken system. And then even in the court, like I don't know if you guys like saw any of the like in court tapings, like at the end of the day, the jury is the person who or the people who decides whether he's guilty or not. But the judge kind of set the tone for how this kid should be treated. Like he was like singing in the fucking in the courtroom to him, like, and calling him son and whatever. It's like you set the precedent of how this kid should be treated. So I feel like subconsciously that's how you sway a jury. Like, and a lot of people are like, no, the judge had nothing to do with no, but like a lot of people are swayed that way by they see somebody else treating someone great and they're like, oh, I should treat him great too. And then even after the trial, do you see the pictures of this kid like laughing and smiling? He's telling LeBron to go fuck himself. Like, oh, you're so nonchalant about the fact that you just murdered 2 people. Like, okay, and now you're not crying about it. Now you're cool because you're not guilty. Like,
that was one of the fakest cries I ever seen.
I know, right?
Sorry, like that. The way he did that shit, like I looked at that shit and I was just like, bro. He looked over like.
But see, and then like, on the other side, I will agree with him where he said fuck LeBron because LeBron's always crying about stupid shit too. So.
Yeah, like LeBron always crying. No, you right. You 100% right on that. I'm not like, look, I like LeBron. Don't get me wrong, but like I ain't trying to get off topic. But I tell everybody this. They be like, why you don't like LeBron playing basketball? I said I like what he does off the court. I said on the court, I don't like LeBron. I said not because he don't have the skill set. He's a dominant fucking player. He can play. I said he too big to be fucking crying and flopping and this prima donna falling and shit and all this other shit. I be like, bro, like I wish you was playing ball back in the day with Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman would tear that boy ass up on the court. Like
next episode will be flopping on the court.
So yeah.
All right, guys.
Pretty much. And I'm just like, yo.
It's been a great episode.
Yeah.
Before we go, Tatiana, told the people where they can find you at.
Oh, I am T Marie Bakes on Instagram. It's T Marie _bakes, I believe. I always forget what it is. Hold on. Yeah, T Marie _bakes. I make event cakes, dessert cakes. I'm a baker. Soon to be 420 friendly. So keep up with me.
You got a website people can go?
Yeah, tmariebakes.com.
There you go.
Nick, tell people where they can find you at.
All right, you can find me on Instagram, Nick Espinoza _215. I'm an entrepreneur. I act. I do flooring work. I do Uber and Lyft. I do almost everything. And real quick deal, I just want to say, because I couldn't figure out exactly what she said, but this is what she said. The girl, Kizer. She said, I'm not looking to walk out of your courtroom with nothing. I come to you and Randall's family with a sincere heart of apologies for what I've done. That's what she said. That resonated with me. When she said that, I said, okay, But that was what she said. I couldn't get it out earlier, but I found it, and that's what I was wanting to say.
Which also makes a big difference in the 2 cases, is that she's remorseful for what she did. She knows what she did was wrong. She's, she tried to state her case like, this is why I did what I did. I'm not looking for you to free me, but I just want to let you know, like, I did it because I was defending my life. Whereas this other kid is like, don't put me in jail. I was self-defense. Like, he wasn't even remorseful about, like, that, and it just shows like the difference in the cases too, and like the difference of people that we're dealing with. So
facts.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. I'm out, guys. Have a good night.